Stream here. Hey there, everyone on YouTube. Hope you're having fun here. Welcome to the Go with Joe channel. We're getting to set up our live stream here. We're going to be live on TikTok as well. So let's see if we're going to get that stream up and going there, and then we'll be able to say hi to everybody here. I'm Eddie O'Donnell here at Snow Joe. We're going to be having some fun here with some chainsaws as well as some drill drivers here because we're going to do a little project that I've been needing to do around the house. We'll be live on TikTok. Looks like we're all live here. All right. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the stream. I'm Eddie O'Donnell here at Snow Joe. We're going to have some fun here when it comes to getting things done in a sort of real DIY sense here. We have a lot of fun planned here with some of the tools that we have here in the lineup because we're going to have a little bit of fun when it comes to doing a little bit of a DIY project that I think out there everyone might not expect. So, we have here in front of us here is a bevy of tools as well as a little project here that I've been wanting to try out for a pretty long time, which is tackling building a pepper mill. Now, this is a relatively easy project, and one of the things that I like about this is that we can do it with a lot of the tools that you normally know us for here, which is tackling things with our drill driver and our little mini chainsaw that you see right here. That's what we're going to use the mini chainsaw here because what we're going to do is I have a couple of these logs here that I think a lot of folks, if you ever seen us here in the studio, you will have seen that we've cut these logs up plenty of times here in the studio. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this up and we're going to turn this into a pepper mill here. And hopefully it's going to be a nice pepper mill. But we're going to see here, this is one of those things that, all experiments end well. And, here we are live. So we're having a little bit of fun here. We're trying to figure out exactly what we want to do here. So, what I've got here is, of course, that log. I've got that wonderful, nice birch log that we have right here. I'm going to take a measurement of this because we do have some parts here. These are the sort of parts for our pepper mill right here. So got a couple of little parts right here that we got to assemble into this. And essentially, what we need to do here, just to sort of walk us through the idea of what this is all about here, is we're going to use this as the base of the pepper mill here, the whole sort of body of the pepper mill. I think it'd be kind of fun to have that rustic sort of log look there. We're going to drill a big hole through the center of this. And at one end, we're going to capture all of this right here. And that's going to slot in through the back here, kind of like that. And you can see here that we've got just sort of enough height out of this. But I think actually what we're going to end up having to do is we're actually going to end up having to cut this down quite a bit here. It's really close. It could almost just use this log by itself here. It's really, really close. Love to be able to do that, but just not quite sure there. Yeah, I think the honest truth is, yeah, we'll have to use this cap here as the top half, or maybe we'll use it like that. We'll see there, which I prefer is the sort of like spinning half at the top there. So we'll have a pepper mill where we can shake out like this, and all the pepper will pour out. I think that'll be really fun there to be able to do with this project here. So we have our little shaft. We have our pepper mill shaft right here. We've got the grinder part down to the bottom over here. We've got all that here. And we've got a couple of tools here that we're going to need here. So to do the cutting, we're going to use our mini chainsaw right here. That mini chainsaw is going to give us a nice straight cut because, of course, it has that riving knife there. And this is the perfect size for this, as you can see right here. This gives us 4.5 inches of cutting capability. We're going to see if we can get a really accurate cut here with this as well. And I think we absolutely can. One thing we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of layout. We're going to make sure we mark out exactly how we're cutting, and that way we're going to get that sort of perfect exact cut that we need there. And you can see here too, I've used this saw to cut this log before. You can see it leaves a really, really nice surface, so I'm not too worried about that either. Now, I've got a couple of other of the components here in this little cup there, but those are the little components that we don't have to worry about for a little while. I've got a bevy of drill bits behind me and some cases over here, and we're going to use our drill driver right here to get that kind of work done. So plenty of power in that beast to help us get that kind of work done there. So very excited for that. Now, let's see here. We're going to start off, I think, by taking some measurements. I think we just want to make sure that this is the right length here. Now, like I said, this right here is about 5 3/8 inches long. And what we need inside of our pepper mill is, let's see right here, from end over 5, and we'll need 5 5/8 long right over here. So this 5 5/8, 5 3/16, and 5 5/8. Yes. Okay, so what that means is that the top section of the pepper mill here, which is going to include this little sort of plate here, as well as I believe this spring. This spring's got to go in there to sort of hold everything up so that as you undo this, um, or no, how does the spring work? This is an interesting point right here. Just when it comes to assembling this, I want to make sure we assemble this correctly here. So let's see. The spring does need to go in here. So the question is, does the spring need to go under like this, underneath the tip right there of the pepper mill, and then you squish that up like so? Don't think that's exactly how that works. I think the spring, let's see, we're going to undo that here. Make sure we have the order of operations correct on all this here. I believe the spring might go under here. And then we'll put that down there, thread that together there. And the spring, does that hold all that up there like that? We can extend that out versus tightening that up. That doesn't quite give exactly the result that I want either. Because that spring needs to hold these apart here, but give enough room for this to move back and forth here. Because this needs to move in and out here so that we can get everything to grind differently here depending on how we unthread that. So how does that work? So undo that there. We can undo that ring there. We can take this off here as well. Let's take a little bit of an investigation into how this looks here. So pull the rod out there. Let's see. Okay, so we have this. We have our nice sort of metal bases here. This is what's doing the grinding here. Does this slide in here? Ooh, yes. I think I found it right there, folks. All right, so that goes in like that. I think that goes in like this. That looks right now. This looks correct now for that spring. We slide that in. There we go. I think this makes sense here because this wants to pull out naturally with that spring. So this wants to go out naturally. So we want that to sort of compress up there, particularly when we put our bending plate on there and our locking knob up here. All right, perfect. Have that all sorted. Have that all sorted out. Now I don't have to worry about anything there. I like that. Okay, so now what we'll do here is, okay, so we would go up against this right here. Now I need to find that sort of full length that we want to hit here. We're sort of going from here all the way up top here. Now, what this means is that the peppermill body can only be about this big here, which looks about 4 inches. Let's say 4 inches for the peppermill body. And then it's 5 5/8. So that leaves 1 5/8 for the top section right there. Does this look like lengthwise here? See what that is. This is 2.5 right here for our little top piece here. So we go 2.5 and really make it sort of a half and half situation there. I really think what we need is about 4 inches right here. So first off, the first thing we want to do is we want to make a nice square end. And you can see right here that this log is not nice and square. It doesn't have that perfect sort of right angle that we're looking for there. And we're going to square it up by cutting it up with our tools. Now, if you enjoy seeing us use the tools here for projects like this, if you're having fun, we always do appreciate from everyone out there. If they're hitting that follow button, if they're hitting that like button, we really do appreciate that. So tap in those likes, send those in, and don't forget to follow us here if you're watching on TikTok at the Snow Joe Co channel. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to join us at the Go Joe channel there. Hit that subscribe button. Give us that thumbs up for this video if you want to learn how to do more DIY projects just like this. So this base right here, this is pretty flat. That's not too bad. It's got a bit of an angle to it, but I kind of don't mind a bit of an angled look there. It's this end that is really sort of this end right here that is really sort of slanted. So I kind of don't mind it sort of off kilter like that. And with the peppermill design like this, I'm actually not too worried about, being super accurate here. But what I do know is that I want to knock off at least a solid we wanted this to knock down to a solid 4 inches right there. And maybe we can cut this up to give us that smaller piece there. So if we go down to 4 inches, that's going to then give us, because we need a total of 5 and I was reading that wrong earlier. I think that's closer to 5 3/4. If we get this right on the outside there. Oh, actually, no. Actually, I think what we want to do here is squish that up right there. Loosen this up a little bit more right here. Yeah, we go 5 3/4 there for the length. We actually want to recess this about this distance. We want to keep it actually a little longer than I'm imagining here. So maybe we could be all right here. So because we want to recess this bottom piece here into the peppermill just in case this wants to stick out really far here for that very, very loose grind. So what I'm going to do right here is, let's see, if we so we're going to do this to the top. So we're going to actually make it an exact 6 inches right here. So I think that's going to be what it is. That way we have enough play in this thread right here to keep things tight or loose. And that way we can, counter bore upwards into this piece here. So to keep this 6 inches, what we have here is, we know that this is roughly 2.5. That's right, 2.5 inches right there. So 6 minus 2.5 is 3.5 inches. So we could go down to 3.5 inches on this, and that should be all right. All right, so let's call it that then. We'll do 2.5 and 3.5. It'll be a relatively small pepper mill in this case, but I'll make that 3.5 inch mark here with a Sharpie so I can see exactly what I'm doing here. And then we'll show off what it's like to sort of cut this up in a nice accurate way here. Now, the first thing that you want to do here is you want to get your square. Now, the log isn't square in and of itself, of course, and there's some tricks to sort of getting a square line on something that's obviously round like this. One big thing that you can do is you can take a piece of wood, like some sort of board or something like that, and something that has a more square edge. And I do have a bit of 2x4 in here that's got a little bit more of a square edge. This is one of our demonstration 2x4s here. So we can place that like that. We can put the square up against that. I can sort of grip that with my hand there and keep that nice and square. And then what I can do is I can rotate that log underneath it. And this is sort of building sort of a little handheld straddle square right here. So I'm just going to take that right there and begin to go around here, getting that nice square line. So we have a perfect little place to cut off of here. And it doesn't need to be dead nuts on accurate here. We are looking for sort of a rustic look with this. So just a nice, easy round cut that we're making right here with this. Oh, let's get that nice and close there. Yeah, that's one of the tricks there, folks, is if you want to get your square really accurate to what you're measuring up to, put your pen or your pencil in that line, then move the square to it, and then it'll be right in the right place there. That way you don't have to try and line up the square with something that isn't yet, sort of making physical contact there. All right, so let's set that up there. Hopefully these match up at the when they meet at the end here. If not, that's okay. Again, we can get that nice adjustment. Ooh, yeah, they just do. All right. So there we go. We have a nice reference line that we're going to use to cut everything to here. And I use that Sharpie just for a bit of a thicker line. When it comes to the chainsaw here, we're going to get sort of a thicker cutting line anyhow. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to mount this up in a way so that we can really cut that off nice and easily here. So I'm going to throw this into our vise here. Open up the vise here. Now, I know the folks on TikTok might see me sort of disappear into the screen here for a second, but I really want to clamp this down. I really want to get this nice and properly clamped down here. In fact, what I'm going to use is I'm going to grab another bit of log here. There we go. We got another piece of log over here as a little brace in our vise here. Give us that good clamping power here. Yeah, there we go. So let's drop that. There we go. Get that nice and tight. I want that as tight as possible when we're hitting it with the chainsaw here. Now, I think on TikTok, maybe we won't be able to see this. Hopefully, maybe we could rotate our TikTok camera so we can see that. While we're doing that, I can hop into my PPE here. So we're going to grab some eye protection and some gloves that we have over here, as well as a little bit of chainsaw lubricant while we're using our chainsaw here. Drop that in there. All right, so we're going to grab our gloves. We're going to put our gloves on here first. Again, you want to be safe when you're using the tools in general. You always want to make sure that we're protecting ourselves when it comes to the work that we want to do here. All right, so Gloves on. Eye protection on right now. All right, and chainsaw on hand. All right, a little bit of chainsaw oil on our mini chainsaw right here to give us that cut. You know, this is also a really good time to mention that our 24VR mini chainsaw right here, it's a great saw for making little DIY projects as well. With, you know, one thing that I know a lot of us like making are little coasters out of little logs like this. It's a perfect thing for that. If you have any questions about that, feel free to let us know in the chat. And hey, if you're enjoying this, let us know. We love hearing from you. Tap in those likes. We appreciate those likes from everyone out there. Having a lot of fun here. If you're watching on TikTok, go ahead and tap in those likes. Don't forget to hit that follow. We appreciate that follow from everyone out there as well. If you're watching on YouTube, give us that thumbs up. Say hi in the chat. We love hearing from you. Don't forget to subscribe to the Go with Joe channel here. Alrighty, so I can set this up right here to make this cut. Now I want to keep my line here, so I'm going to stay to the left of the line. And I've got that nice platen right here. I'm going to use this to pivot the saw through that cut there. Now, let's power up. Let's get some cutting done here. I actually think, you know, for the folks on YouTube that are watching, they might want to see this through the other camera. That should be, we can through the other camera, we can zoom in on this really tight here. They might want to see how this looks here. I know the folks on TikTok are going to see it sort of front over here, but folks on YouTube might appreciate that that close up look there. So there we go. There we go. Yeah, that way we can see this really nice and close up here. All right, let's see if I can get this all nice and lined up here. Make a nice square cut with this. All right, here we go. Perfect. Still cutting on the line here. Oh, I think that was perfect. Nice and square with that cut. Looks a little angled on this side here, but I think that's just because of the way I clamped it up here. All right. Let's see if I don't try not to drop anything here. There we go. Oh, look at that, folks. That's a nice, perfectly standing up cylinder right there. That's exactly what we're looking for. So very happy that we could do that with a saw like this. I mean, this is a chainsaw here at the end of the day. And usually, you know, you imagine chainsaws are really good for very rough cuts. But in this case right here, wow, that was a really nice, accurate cut with that saw. Really loved that I was able to do that there. Really happy with that result. Okay, so essentially now I have a top and a bottom to my peppermill here. Now I kind of wonder, you know, do I want the little side on top or the little side on bottom there? I like the little side on bottom because then you can grab that big sort of area there to spin the top here. Yeah, I kind of like that there. All right, might need a little cleaning up on that end right there, but I'm not too worried about that yet. Okay, so now what we need to do here is they recommend in the package for this, you know, a couple of different drill bits, a 1 5/8 and a 1 1/16 drill bit here for this. So I have both of those in my case right there, but let's see which one is which. So this is, so set this in 1 1/16, and then probably 1 5/8 for the holding plate, which is this little plate right here, this metal plate here, to hold everything in there, and that's 1 1/2. So 1 5/8 should be perfect for that. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to the bottom of our peppermill. I think this is going to be the bottom right here. I'm going to clamp this down once again in the vise here, just to keep it from spinning around on us here while we work on it. So clamp that down nicely there. Now I don't need to be perfect here, but I'm going to grab a drill bit. Let's see. 1 5/8, 1 5/8 right here. All right, got a big old honking bit right here that we're gonna drill with. Now these bigger bits, you're gonna want to use a drill that has multiple modes behind it because you're gonna want a lot of torque here to run this bit. And I think we only really need to run this bit in because we made this a full 6 inches. We need to run this bit in exactly the amount that we're taking off the top here. So we made this 6 inches right here. That's right. So at 6 inches, what we want to do is we want to make this hole just enough to accept this screw, the thread here from our screw. So that's going to be about 1/2 of an inch right there, which tracks because we were going to make this 5 5/8 inches originally when we're going to the top of the screw there. So 1/2 an inch. All right, so here's another tip and trick for everyone out there. If you want to mark a position on your drill bit, you can always take a Sharpie, take your tape measure to it, and mark a depth with a Sharpie on your bit to see when you're at depth. The other trick you can do is you can use a piece of tape, but in this case right here, because we're using this kind of big Forstner bit here, piece of tape might get in the way. So I'm gonna use that Sharpie for now. I'm just gonna go slowly here. So I got this, this is our 24-volt drill driver right here. Got this in drill mode right here. Oh, we got a battery that we could use a recharge there. I'll throw that on the charger in the set right here. Great about being here. All right, we got a full 24-volt battery here. We can slide that in, lock that in place there. All right, so I have this set to drill mode. I have this set to high torque right here. This is gonna give us a lot of power. This is a big bit here, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put that in here. Let's see, there we go. All right, so I see my mark here. I'm gonna start sending this down. Ooh, you know what? Before I start doing this, you know what I should have done? I should have roughly located the center of all of this so that I could get that to stick through roughly straight. All right, I'm gonna do that first before I go any further with that. I kind of made a hole already, but maybe I can fix this here because you kind of do want to get that sort of that proper center found. So one of the tricks for that, usually you can use something called a center finder, and that's a really good way to find center on things. Now, in this case right here, what I think the dealio will be is we got our speed square here, and we have, as long as we have another straight edge, we should be able to find center on this by giving us that 45-degree angle. In fact, we don't need to be too precise with this. That's the thing that I kind of love here. All right, we have a wrench right here. It's going to be perfectly fine right here. So what we can do right here is I can use, for example, our 90-degree line over here. And we can take that tape measure once again here. We can make a couple of measurements here for this. So I'm seeing 3.5 there and 3.25 right there. Okay, so 3.5. If we say 3.5, we're going to make the center of that. Pick the center of that. So see 3.5 to make 1.5 plus quarter, 1 3/4, which is going to be right there. And I'm going to spin this 90 degrees, just like so. I'll pick another point right here. Let's see, 3.25. So that makes it 1.5 plus 1/8, which is going to be right there. A little intersection right here for it. We can double check that by using a straight edge right here up against. So if we put that right there, hold that nice and square up against that with that, I can see we're pretty close there. We're very close. Okay, so that side's marked. We go on to the other side right here, do a couple of measurements here to make sure that we have a rough center on this. Again, we don't need to make it perfect. We do want that rough center though. So the other thing that we can do is we can take this line here, extrapolate this out like that, or oops, in this case like that. And I can take that square. What I can do is I can hang that square off of this edge. I can just drop this down because we know that this cut's very square here. I can just put the pen in there, drop that line down. So I can drop that line down just like that. And I can keep an eye on where I'm going just using that. And we know where this mark is in relation to this line. That mark is exactly on this side of the line by 3, or by 1 inch and 1/16. So, or 1 inch and 1/8, sorry. Or, sorry, 1.5 inches plus 1/8, which will be 1 inch and 5/8 right there. So down to 1 inch, 1 inch and 5/8. Put a little T right there, and there we go. Now we have a rough idea of where the center line is of our little peppermill is going to be here. All right, we can move all this stuff out of the way, and we can get back to drilling there. So I'm not too far off center here, but I am a little off center, so I'm gonna have to make that drill again, make that hole again here. No problem with that though. Clamp that up. Now I'm going to clamp that up where I can see that guideline. You can see that right there. I'm going to put this on this side of the vise so that I can see it as I'm going down here. So just get that in like this. Clamp that nice and tight there. Now this bit has a little bit of a tip there, so I can set that tip into a sort of new. There we go, just like that. And start drilling here. So this is why you want to have a drill that has a high torque feature like this. So you can get that power going down as you're cutting through here. Take your time with it. Okay, we're not quite at depth yet, but we're going to keep working our way down here. Okay, how's that looking right there? Start depth line. Okay, a little bit deeper and we're good. All right. So now in the bottom of our log here, we've got this nice little recess. And that recess is going to be where the head of the peppermill lives, which is just like that. It's going to give us some space there for some adjustment. And in there, we're going to use this little plate here to hold everything in place. So nice, easy system there. So we've got that all drilled out there. Very happy with that. You can see we're doing this into end grain here. So that's quite a bit of hefty drilling that we've got to do there. Now what we have to do is with an 1 1/8 bit, core down enough to drill out the rest of the peppermill itself. And we can do that because we marked this from top and bottom. We can do this from top and bottom. Now this should be a little easier because we're doing a smaller bit here. So this is an 1 1/8, and I have that. Let's see, I get that right here, 1 1/8, right over here for my drill bit kit here. And this should be long enough to go through. Let's see. So this is going to go down to there. And this is going to get pretty darn close to the top here. And up the top, it doesn't really matter there. All right, so we're going to load this back in here. And we're going to continue to drill through with this. Okay. Now here is where you can begin to make that choice. I'm in high torque mode right now because of how heavy that larger bit is. But what I can do is I can kick this into high speed. We can see if that cuts any faster through this. Now, when you're cutting with high speed, be careful. High speed means high heat. Heat is the enemy of sharpness when it comes to your drill bits. So try and keep it from smoking there. Try and work in passes there where you can remove those chips. It is cutting nicely here like butter, but I'm going to take every moment here that I can to pour out everything that I'm cutting out of this log here. So I want to keep everything clean in there. The cleaner it runs, the smoother everything's going to be here. Now here's a really nice feature on this drill. You can see over here, up on top here, if we were doing this horizontally, you could use that bubble level to make sure that we're going down straight. Now, here's another trick. If you ever want to make sure that your drill is nice and perpendicular to what you're doing there, use that bubble level that you have in your body there. You actually bring your head all the way down to that drill, just kind of like that. You can get a pretty good feeling if you put your hand right over here and your forehead on it, get a pretty good feeling of when you're not going straight up and down. No, it seems a little silly, but it's a quick way to check. You just bring your head down there and you can kind of sight everything down there and you come back up and you can put the pressure down. So just a quick tip for everyone out there. That's one that I learned a long time ago and it's actually helped in a lot of different situations there. Now, again, too, as you're doing this, if you did want to use that bubble level that's built in here, you can actually if you have a clamp, if you have a vise, you can hold this in horizontally. You can do it that way as well. And that makes it a lot easier if you're holding it this way to get that pressure in there. But in this case, our vise that we have here in the studio is going to be this one right here. So I want to play this in a way where I'm pushing this down. But I could put this in horizontally and go up against the crossbar there. You just wouldn't be able to see it very well. So let's keep going with this here. And you can see here, I've got that guideline right out there, so I can kind of see what I'm doing here in terms of how straight I'm going. Again, I don't need to be super straight though, because of the kind of cut that I'm making here. All right, so producing some heat there. I can smell the burn as we're going deeper here. The deeper you go with your tools, the more you're putting that kind of pressure on them. So just be careful there as you're going deep. You don't want to burn anything out there, particularly if you're using that high speed. This is that difference between high speed and high torque here. Notice I'm using, now that I'm so deep in here, I'm getting a lot of contact friction-wise, so I'm picking the drill up every now and then. But what I have done here, we can see this with this particular drill bit here, is I have made it, I don't know if we can see it here. Oh, I thought I did. Maybe I just can't see it because I covered up the hole. But essentially, I do see at the bottom, through the bottom of this here, and for the folks on TikTok, you'll have to believe me, in there is a little beam of light in the bottom of this hole where I can see that drill bit poking through. I can actually see it right in the center here. And just to sort of core it out here, let me grab something like a punch here, and can just open that up. So maybe we can see that on YouTube over here. We can zoom in on that. You see the little punch in there? Or if I take that out now, can you see the hole that I just made? There we go. We can see that hole that I just made. Now you wouldn't want to make that punch hole normally because you want that drill bit to sort of sit in there. Well, that's what we're going to do here anyhow. So let me finish that up here by letting that drill bit settle that in there. Or actually, do we want this to settle that in there? No, we don't. No, we don't. Not for this kind of peppermill. Different kinds of peppermills have different things. In fact, actually, what we want to do is we want to get a bit that is just for the peppermill rod here. That's right, because this peppermill is going to fill up from the bottom and not from the top here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one last drill bit here, which is 1 1/8 inches. That's right. It's going to be 1 1/8 inches in diameter here. So I've got my set of bits here. Let's see. Or no, not 1 1/8 inches. I'm sorry. The 1 1/8 inches is what we just used. It's actually marked as a 7mm bit. 7mm in sort of in imperial measurements. So 6mm is going to be 1/4 inch. So just a little over 1/4 is what we need here. So I have 1764, 9/32. That's what I'm looking for here. 9/32 of a drill bit right here that we're going to use to drill into the top there. But then for this hole, it doesn't exactly matter. Oh, I guess we can still use this bit right here to core out this part right here. And that should be the correct size for this to reduce any wobble. It seems a little big. I'll go down one size just in case. Always best with drill bits to work your way up as opposed to making a mistake there, starting off with something a little too big. Go back here. 7mm. 7 mil, because 12 mil is 1/2 inch, so 6 mil would be 1/4 inch, roughly. So might be best just to go down to 1/4 inch here. Let's see. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go all the way down to 1/4 inch. I'd rather stay safe than keep it in that size bracket there. So bring this down to 1/4 inch right here. Here's actually one quick tip. You know, when running drills and stuff like that, you don't necessarily always need gloves. I do like wearing gloves in general for some of this work though, because it protects you from some heat here. So let's see, that 1/4 of an inch bit here. Wow, that punch was pretty much a 1/4 of an inch in diameter. So that worked out pretty perfectly here. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to line this up here. And it's the question of, do I want at the top of this, do I want this little end here to be at the top? To be at the bottom there so that I can grab the sort of larger end of the log there to do the pepper mill, to do the pepper grinding. Uh, let's see. Uh, let's see. We could try and flatten that out to do that. This is it's a little wavy on this cut here because this is what I cut down by hand there. And then and then in fact, actually, we got a question in here. Do we have a branch in Is that Dubai? I don't know. We do not have a branch in Dubai. That's a great question, though. But we do not currently have a branch in Dubai. That's a great question that's coming in from the chat on TikTok there. Um, but great to see everyone here, by the way. And actually, if you're on TikTok, if you're on YouTube, go ahead and throw us that like. We do appreciate the likes there. Don't forget to follow the channel here. If you're watching at Snow Joe Co on TikTok there, go ahead and follow us on TikTok. We have a lot of fun here. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to give us that thumbs up. We do appreciate that here at the Go With Joe channel. Alrighty, now what I am going to do here is I'm going to drill down. I think, you folks tell me what you think looks best. It's something like this, where it's, sort of an offset log look so that as you spin that, you get the larger piece up here sort of spinning around the bottom there because that's what we have that's sort of smooth there. Or do we flip it like this? And you can see that it's sort of the bottom here, that ring is a little smaller than what we have in there so that when you spin it, you have more log to grab here. What do you folks think out there? If anybody has an idea, let us know. We do appreciate those ideas out there. Let's see, essentially, because we want to drill that nice smooth hole through here. I think the end of the day, going like this and covering up the edge of the log there is going to be more important than worrying about. Yeah, I think it's going to be more important than worrying about anything else there. So we're going to go nice and smooth like this with it here, just like so. So essentially now what I need to do is I need to pinpoint the hole at the bottom, and we need to make sure that we can drill straight up with that guide post there. So let's see here. Will this drill bit reach here? Ooh, this drill bit might actually reach. Oh, so poke that through. So we got the drill bit poking through here. That's nice, just like that right there. We know we're going to want to put the bigger end over here, and it doesn't really matter where. It just matters that we go straight through it. So for example, we have this flush up here, we go straight. So I'm going to push this all the way up to the edge of the drill bit here. Get that nice and flush there, right where I want it. I'm just going to press that in. And we've made a nice impression there. So that drill bit has made a little bit of a score right on the tip of this log here, which is what I can drill through as I continue to drill through the log here. And again, I want to keep that nice and straight here. Again, I can use the bubble level trick here, or we can just by hand measure it out like I've done in the past here. So I think that's what I'll do. Or in fact, actually, I'll be honest, I'm pretty good at just sort of centering it by eye, admittedly. And this is something that I just want to make sure I clamp this nice and firmly here, straight up and down. So there we go. Straight up and down, just like that right there. There we go. With the drill right here. High speed once again with the drill bit here. This is a smaller bit, so we're going to go high speed, but we're going to take our time with it. We don't need to worry about trying to cook that bit there. So we'll keep this nice and parallel here as we go down. Here's another trick for drilling straight up and down here. So actually put a square on the table next to you, just like that. And now I can roughly see what square is. And then if I want to check this way, as I keep going down here, I can check this way as well. Okay, popped out the other end there. All right, that's good to go. So I think we're pretty much ready to start assembling this here. All right, so let's start getting some bits and bobs together here. All right, so we have the pepper part here sort of assembled. We talked about that at the beginning here. I'm going to take the nut off there. And we're going to feed bottom of the mill into the hole right there, just like that. It slides right in there. And you can see how that sort of sits there, just like so. So you can sort of see how that relaxes into that spot there with all that around it. And then we're going to be able to clamp that down using the clamp faceplate that we have right there. And then up top here, and then we can see right up top here, we've got that protrusion here. I can take the second half of this and I can slide that over just like that. It's going to slide over just across there like that. And once this is, oh, I didn't quite get it exactly flat, but this should be good enough actually. Looking at it here, and then there's a strike plate there and a thread right here for this, just like this. And essentially, look at that, folks. This is how this is going to work here. You can see right there, this is a peppermill now to some degree. Now, we do have to do some of the finishing touches here. So I'm going to do this to hold everything in place here. Drop that on like this. So you can see underneath here, what we have is a little place for this plate to live. It's going to straddle the face here. There are a couple of notches out on it, so that plate's going to hold that in. I can see, I know the folks on YouTube can see that, and hopefully the folks on TikTok can see that I'm holding that little plate in there with my gloves. So we're going to mark that out, and I'm going to drill out those holes that straddle that area there. So I'm just going to clamp this in place here first, and then we're going to mark and drill that out and screw those pieces in here. Now, this is, again, we're having a drill that has the multiple functions in it, something like a high torque function, and then something like a high speed function is really, really nice, because we're going to grab a really small bit here. I think these are really small screws here. Yeah, small bit for the small screws. Just make sure that this is the right size. Here's a tip for checking your screw size against your bit there. Just hold them both up against the light like that. And if you can see the edges of the screw beyond the bit, then it's big enough. But if you can't, it's too big. So that one's too big right there. We're going to go really small. It's going to take a 1/16 of an inch bit right here to get that hole started. Looks like it. Yep. So we're going to do that. Should not be an issue though here. We don't need to go very deep here. We are going into end grain of this log here for our rustic looking pepper mill there. So, oh, I got some debris in the chuck there, stopping us from really gripping that. Oh, once again, dropped it. No, still more debris in there for our 1/16 inch bit. Well, no worries, actually. I think, honestly, we don't really need that. I think this is such a small screw that we can just push it in there. Do I have a slightly, there we go. Another bit right here. Just going to start these holes here for our screw. Oh, you know what I need to do? Before I do that, I need to make sure that I've got that plate properly aligned. There are two dimples on the side of that plate that I just need to make sure properly aligned here. So we're going to take everything out here for a second. Drop everything down like that. Make sure that these align here. Push that through, just like that. Slide all of that through right there. Oh, just line it all by eye here. There we go. That should be good. All right. Now I did drop a couple of pieces here, so I see one of them right over here, and the cap plate. Where did that go? Ah, there it is, right in front of you. All right. So we will reassemble, holding everything in place like so. Capturing my glove in there. Throw the plate on top, just like that. Throw that into place, just like so. All right, so right here, put a hole right there. Spin this around here. Small hole. Oop. Right there. And then these are very, very small screws, so I think I'm going to need a number 1 screwdriver bit for it, which I do have one of right here. Put that in a bit chuck, just like this. We can put this on our drill. And here's what's important here, folks. When you're doing this kind of fine, delicate work, even with a drill like this, has a lot of power. I'll put this down into its weakest mode. That's the great thing about having a drill like this, is that you can change the mode that it has there by using that clutch that has built into it. So drop that screw right through there. Hold that plate all together here. Put that bit in. Ooh, nice and easy to screw that in there, just like that. Get this going on the other side right here. Okay, there we go. Both sides attached there, just like so. All right, so that's ready to go here. All right, and then this little plate here is going to go underneath here, and it is going to get screwed in right where this enters. So we're just going to make sure that where we have this placed is good to go. Now you can put this either on top or on bottom. I'm going to put it on bottom here just to give this a little more spinning room here for our log, because our log is a little you know, it's a little different. Or I wonder, actually, is this, at this point here, is this flat enough for this? Not quite. Kind of wonder if we want to get a nice, sort of angularly flatter surface for it, because we did kind of go through it complimenting this little angle here. So we're very close, but we're not quite dead flat there. So that's the question here. Should we make that slice? It's always tough to make slices on very little pieces like this, because they're hard to hold, they're hard to clamp. So I think we're actually going to be okay here. I think, honestly, we'll be fine. One of the things that I can do at the top of this here is actually grab a drill bit that matches this. And in fact, this is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to grab a drill bit that matches the size of this plate here, just to recess it into the top just a little bit. And that, I think, will help keep this sort of having that rustic look there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp this back up here. Find one of my drill bits that matches the size of this plate here. We'll grab the drill. We'll drill a small recess hole, and we should be okay there. So I think this is about, let's see, is this 3/4? Oh, 3/4 is perfect. Just give me a little room on either side right here. So take that bit right there. Now we got to put this back into beast mode here. Love the fact that this drill has sort of that beast mode capability to go from high power into that nice special torque mode there. You notice going with that very delicate mode there, I wasn't going to damage that screw at all because of how sort of nice and light the drill could go. But now we're in the high power mode here. You can get a lot done with this. So I'm just going to try and chuck this right in the center here. Always a little bit hard with an area that's already been sort of semi-drilled out here. And if I can't do it with this, in fact, this is dancing around just a little too much here. I'll pull that out here. I'm going to go for, I think, our 3/4 inch spade bit right here. Has a little bit of a tighter screw. There we go. There we go. Ooh, that should be perfect. There we go. I'm just going to clean that up with the Forstner bit here to get that to look nice and flat there. Oh, did I not grab a 3/4? Oh, this is a 7/8. Uh-oh. So 3/4 may not have been big enough. I guess I had a 7/8 in the wrong spot. Let's see where 3/4 is on this. I think this is just under 3/4. So, all right. So hopefully I got a 7/8 in there that we can finish this out with here. Yes, I do have a 7/8 right here. Can recarve this hole. Again, when you're doing sort of the recarves with your drill here, be very gentle with them. There we go. That worked actually pretty well there. There we go. Okay, so now we have a nice little recess for it. All right, so now drop this on here, just like that. Can drop our little plate into that there. That locks on. Wonderful. Okay, so that locks right into there, into that hole, onto the post here, so that we can spin everything around there. And now I just have to screw in those two little screws that it came with. They go back to the small drill bit that I had before. And in fact, actually, you know what? For these screws, they're so small. I don't even know if we really need to do the pre-drill for them. But I'd rather do it and not need it than need it and not do it here. Just because that chuck has a little bit of gunk in it. It's not letting me grab this particular bit here. Here's a little trick. If your drill is ever having trouble because you have something like sawdust or anything like in there, if it's having trouble grabbing onto things, you can always take a piece of tape. Can we grab a piece of tape from over there? That's right. We can just throw a piece of tape around it, and that's going to give us that good grip on the edge of it. That's always that's always a danger with some of the small bits. You can just get a little bit of sawdust in there, and rather than worrying about cleaning it out all the time, this is the quick fix right there. Thank you very much. Piece of tape coming in here, flying in from the side there. We just need something very little here. So I'm just going to grab a tiny little bit here off the end here. Now, admittedly, this is the point where gloves, frankly, become a bit of a hassle. So I'm going to put the tape there, take this glove off here. While we do this here, you just put this right on the end of the bit, like so. And you just want to roll that up nice and tight there. It's going to give your drill bit just enough bite here. You really want to just clamp down on that. At this point, we're doing pretty fine work, so we don't need the gloves. There we go. Spin this back into speed 1 here. Couple of holes to hold everything together. Put that bit into our parts bin here. We'll chuck back our screwdriver up. Lock that into place there. Bring this down to a very fine setting because once again, we have very small screws here, very teeny tiny screws that we're going to put in here. Just going to plop that in over here. All right, that one's in. It's not fully tight yet, but it's in. That's the thing. You want to go gentle with this kind of stuff. Gently ease everything in there until everything needs to get tight in there. Okay, there we go. That's perfect there for that one. And this one can get tightened up here. Again, you notice I'm in speed 1 with the torque mode set to 1. That way I don't break these screws. They're so fine. They're so small. That's something I love about this. All right. Here we go now. Add that thread back onto here. And folks, there we go. We have a running peppermill here. We can see down on the bottom, you can see that grinder grinding everything up there with that design. Look at that right there. We have a rustic birch peppermill. I absolutely love that. Got an adjustable knob up here for the tightness there. But look at that. Rustic birch peppermill to give us that pepper whenever we want. Absolutely love that. This is absolutely ingenious right here. Lots of fun to be had with a project like this. And folks, you can do it yourself as well. Because check it out. All we needed here were 2 tools. That's right, our 24-volt drill driver and our 24-volt mini chainsaw to give us those nice clean cuts there. Check these out at snowjoe.com. These are great tools that we have there in the lineup, all part of our 24-volt lineup right here. Really great setup that we have here with these tools. In general, we had a lot of fun building this out here, had a lot of fun putting this together for you folks. Now, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to tap in those likes. We appreciate those likes from everyone out there. Don't forget to follow our channel here on TikTok. If you're watching on TikTok, it's the Snow Joe Co channel. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button if you're joining in at the Go With Joe channel if you want to see more projects like this. And don't forget to hit that follow button if you're watching on TikTok as well. Hey, and that thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Give us the thumbs up. We do appreciate it. Alrighty, folks, this is a fun project. I'm Eddie O'Donnell here with Snow Joe, having fun with our 24-volt drill driver, our 24-volt hand chainsaw, our mini chainsaw right here. Folks, had so much fun with you folks. Can't wait to do it again. We'll see you all next time. All right, so that's us saying goodbye to the YouTube.